What's up, everyone? Welcome into Fantasy Football Office Hours presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my beautiful co-hosts, John, Luke, and Josh. What's up, guys?
What up?
Hey, feeling good. Ready to help people with some fantasy questions. Let's go.
That was such a good point. You pointed the right direction and everything to point to JL. That was fantastic. I'm impressed. Wow.
It just came naturally too. I didn't even have to struggle to do it. I was just like, yeah, he's right up there.
I still can't do it. It is so hard.
I am.
Everyone watching, we are here to do nothing but answer your fantasy questions for the next 45-ish minutes. So bring them in here. We'll do our best to get to all of them. We're going to start off with a question. Justin wants to know, do I drop Gainwell for one of the two Titans RBs? So we showed in the last stream that we prefer Jeremy McNichols of the Titans RBs between the three of us. So let's assume this question is that. Does he drop Gainwell for Jeremy McNichols? Josh?
Yeah, I'm dropping Gainwell for Jeremy McNichols for sure. I think McNichols could be a league winner, like I said in the last stream. I'm not saying I'm guaranteeing it, but if the Titans decide to give him the majority of the workload, he's going to be so good. He's going to be so good, and you are going to want him in your lineup every week.
I feel like McNichols' receiving work is like what we're expecting from Gainwell, right? Like just the receiving work. And then on top of that, you add he's likely going to get more touches than Gainwell at the running back position. I'll go McNichols as well in this one. John Luke, are you going Gainwell or McNichols?
It's McNichols for me.
McNichols, McNichols.
I'll add this in, Justin. I would drop Gainwell for Peterson.
I would not, but Josh would drop Gainwell for Peterson. JL, what about you?
Gainwell. Yeah.
It's closer.
It is very close
because there is a possibility. While I do hope and expect that it's not Peterson, and I want it to be McNichols. Peterson could be the leading running back for this team going forward. I don't expect the 36-year-old to do that, but I'd rather take the shot on Peterson.
I feel like every time he gets signed the past couple seasons, we're a little bit surprised by the production that he does bring, right? Yeah. He keeps on showing that it's not elite running back production, but it's good enough running back production from AP. So we'll need to watch and see how that plays out. Justin also wants to know, would you do this? I get DeAndre Hopkins and Mike Davis and give up Javonte Williams, DJ Moore, and Allen Robinson. JL, what do you think about this trade? Can we take a step back and just me ask a question that's built in here? Who would you prefer straight up rest of season?
That's a good
DeAndre
start.
Hopkins or DJ Moore?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Josh, what about you? DeAndre Hopkins? Do you think it's close at all?
It's close.
It's the volume that Hopkins is getting.
It's not like a
break,
boom. This is easy. This is easily DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is not getting the yards, targets, or catches that we have seen in the past. This offense is not hyper focusing on him. They are going to spread the ball around. They are a good team, and they don't absolutely need to hyper target DeAndre Hopkins in order to win games. Okay, so and on the other hand, DJ Moore. The Panthers need DJ Moore, especially without Christian McCaffrey right now. So he's going to continue. DJ Moore is going to get far more targets than DeAndre Hopkins the rest of the season and probably more catches. But DeAndre Hopkins has more upside. He has those touchdowns that he continues to score. I will take DeAndre Hopkins over DJ Moore, but it is a conversation.
I think I'm taking DJ Moore rest of the season just from what we've seen from both these offenses. I think they're very close, but I lean DJ Moore. His usage. I think he is like his usage in the offense, not the offense itself. The Arizona offense is obviously way better, but I like DJ Moore's usage in this offense a little bit more. So I'm going to lean that safety with DJ Moore in this one since they're in the same tier, but that's ignoring the rest of the trade. JL, how do you feel about the rest of this trade?
I would probably, it's going to be a little bit team dependent, but I'd probably rather have the DJ Moore Javonte side just because the value of Javonte, I think, is big enough to overcome this gap here. And then Allen Robinson on top of that it's weird to say this kind of a throw in, but he could turn into some, a valuable asset down the line. So I would rather have that side.
Josh, what about you?
I also slightly lean the DJ Moore, Javonte Williams, A-Rob side of this trade, but it's ever so slightly. This is a completely even trade.
If you change Mike Davis out for someone else that's I'm a little bit more bullish on, I'll probably take the Dhop side.
Yeah.
who's a name that's a little bit
DeAndre
more
Swift.
in that. Oh, DeAndre Swift. I'm trying to think of a name that's reasonable near the Mike Davis area. What about Josh Jacobs?
I would rather have. I would take that.
That flips it for me. And let's say Michael Carter. Obviously, I think that flips it for us as well.
Yep. I agree there. So if you could upgrade the Mike Davis piece of this even just a little bit, I think we would move over to that side. And then I was going to move to this one next. We've got some questions in between, but this is on the same topic that we were talking about earlier. Scott wants to know, I'm curious why you think McNichols, who has 56 carries in his 5-year career, is going to take this large workload on the ground. They just signed 2 early down backs. I mean, he did carry a load at Boise half a decade ago. Just feel like they're move screen trying to figure out the early down role. Yeah. You could very well be right. You just seem really sure.
I'm assuming he's talking about Josh here.
Yeah,
Josh, I think it's absolutely me. He's bullish. He's coming at me here.
Coming at you, Josh. It's a good question.
No, it's a great question. And I just think that the Titans are a decent running team. They're an above average running team. I know Derrick Henry, he's not going to be anything close to Derrick Henry. Jeremy McNichols is a completely different running back than Derrick Henry, but we've already seen he's a good receiving back, right? I believe he's in the top 12, I believe, in running backs catches so far this season. And I can vet that real fast. I'm looking at it right now. Jerry McNichols, he's 14th. So he has 21 receptions so far this season. He's 14th out of all running backs. That's where I think he makes his value. We keep hearing all these rumors where the Titans are going to go more pass heavy because they don't have Derrick Henry anymore. I just could see a world where Jeremy McNichols does get the majority of the carries, nowhere near Derrick Henry's carries, but he's also getting the receptions tied in with that. And that creates a top 20 running back at the very least. So the upside's there. So it gets me excited.
Yeah, the receiving work really is a differentiator for me, and why I'm excited for him, because they have been using him. I'm not as certain that they're going to use him in the run game as Josh is. I think they'll likely lean on Adrian Peterson and maybe Deontay Foreman, but the receiving work seems to be his bread and butter.
Yep. And I'm sitting there with JL a little bit. I do think his rushing work obviously goes up. It's not going to go down with Derrick Henry, but I'm not expecting a full workload. It's the receiving work that's the differentiator.
Yeah, you can't really go down from 0.
And I do want to mention, he's only had 7 carries this season. This is not a sampling size we want to use when we're determining this, but he has been super efficient when he's gotten the carries still. 5.4 yards carry, where Derrick Henry's about 4.5 yards a carry. So he's averaging more per rush, only on 7 carries. I know.
Yeah, 7 carries. We'll have to see if that holds up, if he gets a bigger workload. JXC in here. First of all, 7-1 PPR, but he says he doesn't want to get complacent. Put his team right here. QBs Rodgers, Dak, wide receivers Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, Jarvis Landry, Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Lockett. Then his running backs are Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and Cordero Patterson, with Kelsey and Goddard at tight end. He's thinking of packaging some wide receivers, get a solid RB, but everyone's getting injured. Other players on the waiver wire. Jay,
nice humble brag here, Jay. Nice humble brag. Great team.
I know you want to make moves. I get the desire to want to make moves, not get complacent. But with a team like this, I don't know realistically a trade you're going to move that's going to really upgrade your team. There's no glaring weak spots in my mind. JL, what do you think here?
I would try and package some of these depth pieces to maybe get an upgrade. So a Jeudy, a Landry, a Lockett, I think are 3 names that I would try and maybe move. I think you can. They have enough value at this point that you could probably move for an upgrade at your running back depth, or package them to upgrade, an upgraded wide receiver piece.
How do you guys view Chubb rest of season? Do you view him as a top 10 guy, a top 12 guy, a top 15 guy? Like, where do you view Chubb?
Top 12 for sure. Locked in top 12 with top 5 potential. Let's see how he comes back. Kareem Hunt's still going to miss a few weeks coming up here. Let's see how the Browns use him going forward. We really don't know if he was still somewhat dealing with this injury last week. So he could be the running back for the Browns. I mean, De'Aaron Johnson's going to be involved regardless, but I still see more upside for Chubb.
Would you guys do something like packaging Chubb plus one of these receivers to upgrade even further at running back into one of these top 5 kind of guys?
Eckler kind of deal?
Well, he's already got
has.
Eckler. But like an
Aaron, So like
Aaron
Jones,
Jones,
Harris,
and Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris.
So here's the thing. He is so deep. Jay is so deep at wide receiver. if you start 3 receivers, this is still more than enough wide receivers. So yeah, I love the idea of packaging maybe even Cordero Patterson, who I
read that as Jared Patterson for some reason. I know why. I know the reason. It wasn't some mysterious reason. It's because they're the same name. But
yeah. And it could be Jared Patterson, but I doubt Cordero. It is. I'm assuming as well. If you could package Lockett or Landry and Patterson and get an upgrade at the running back position, I love that. I love it.
There we go.
You can pull Darrell Henderson out of something like that.
Yeah. Leonard Fournette, I bet you could get probably on the cheaper side since he's coming off a down week.
At this point, though, Patterson and Fournette, if you can play Patterson at your running back spot,
more of someone to target, not necessarily that trade, the hypothetical trade. But yeah,
if you can package 2 of those wide receivers for Fournette, sure.
Yeah, like a Judy and Lockett, or you should be able to pull something like that off.
Real quick on the second part of this question, which of these 3 guys would you prefer to pick up off waivers? Michael Carter, J.D. McKissic, or Melvin Gordon? For me, it's Michael Carter.
Oh, it's all of them, but Michael Carter and then Melvin Gordon, then McKissic.
Josh,
it's all of them, but it's Michael Carter.
Bam wants to know he says I'm dropping Russell Gage for Parker. Gage sucks. Do I start Parker or Bateman? He wants to know DeVante Parker or Rashad Bateman. I'm going Parker as well. JL?
Parker.
Yeah, I lean Parker too. I just wanted to quickly look up who their matchups were this week.
Parker just got, I believe, 12 targets this past week, and he is getting deep targets as well. If he can just make sure he catches half of these targets that he's getting, he's going to be a very productive fantasy receiver going forward.
Yeah, they're playing Houston. So should be a good one. Should be a good one. Yeah. It's Parker for me.
What's up, Kev? Welcome in, Kev, with the bird up. And Carlos has a tricky question for us. He said, who should I drop between Ridley and Michael Thomas? I can't afford to keep both on my bench because I have CMC in my IR spot. Josh, which of these 2 players are you dropping?
I know, Josh. I know. I feel the pain that you feel.
No!
But you know what has to be done.
I don't know what has to be done yet. Okay. I just want to mention that Ridley is an elite receiver when he's healthy and he's playing for the Falcons. And I know he's stepping away from football. We don't really know what that means yet. And that sucks. That sucks as a fantasy manager. It could be just a couple week thing. It could be Michael Thomas. We don't know what he's going to look like. We know Jameis Winston's out for the season. If Taysom Hill's the quarterback, Michael Thomas played fine with him last year, but we don't know when Michael Thomas, he's not practicing even yet. Oh no. I don't know.
You've broken Josh, Carlos.
You've broken me. I rarely don't have an answer.
JL, do you have an answer?
I'll drop Ridley.
Josh is really broken.
I'll drop Ridley.
Ridley.
If I had to. But I'd pick up Ridley if I saw him on the waiver wire. So I don't even know. But I'd pick up Michael Thomas if I saw him on the waiver wire. So I don't like dropping either one of these guys.
But I'm not dropping Ridley if I don't have to, but if I have to, I am. I can't imagine if he comes back in a couple weeks, that would seem like a very dramatic, that this whole thing would seem a little bit maybe dramatic if he was just planning to miss a couple weeks. I read that move as he needs some time, and I'm not going to expect him back this season until we have more information or he gives us a timeline. If you drop him and he comes back, that is devastating. That is devastating. It is also just an unfortunate fantasy football, that thing you can't really predict.
I do want to mention something in regard to this Ridley thing. I think I discussed it with Simon once. Lane Johnson, the Eagles offensive lineman, he also stepped away from football. He kind of did a similar thing. It wasn't as blown up because Calvin Ridley is a fantasy asset.
Position,
but he missed 3 games when he stepped away. And he came back. So I'm not trying to compare their situations. I don't know what Calvin Ridley's going through, but it's possible.
I think right now the answer has to be Ridley, and it's just going to suck if he does come back. But there's a chance that he does play the season. And Scott Fish saying Thomas with Hill last year with Taysom Hill, 9 for 104, 4 for 50, 9 for 105, and 8 for 84. So that's looking pretty good for your Michael Thomas shares.
Oh, and that's what I saw your comment there, Scott. You didn't come at me. I love when you pose questions.
Oh yeah. Like no, that's a really good question too.
Oh yeah, you're the man, Scott.
Yeah, that one is really tough. Bam has a question for us. He says, in my other league, this may be weird, but I have 3 Dolphins in my lineup this week. Gesicki at tight end, and then Gaskin and DeVante Parker at flex. Does he keep Fant benched over Gesicki? So start Fant or Gesicki, or move either one of the flexes out. Start Fant over Parker or Gaskin. Josh, you are the resident Gesicki versus Fant expert, so we're going to come to you first on this one. What would you do here? Are you leaving Gesicki in the flex? Or are you flexing Fant?
Who's the starting Dolphin?
Parker, Gaskin, and Gesicki.
Okay.
Starting all these Dolphins players, they're not a high-powered offense. It absolutely does lower your upside. If you were asking me right now, should I start Fant or Gesicki? I would tell you Gesicki, but Fant is close enough to Gesicki where you're able to make this decision. You could flip in Fant for Gesicki. I will say that Jerry Jeudy coming back does hurt Fant a little bit in my mind. I'd probably still start Gesicki, but they're so close that you can make the switch if you want more upside.
Are you flexing Fant over either Myles Gaskin or DeVante Parker, or is Fant sitting on your bench?
Oh, no. I play both Gaskin and Parker over Fant.
Josh goes, no. JL, are you agreeing with Josh here, leaving the 3 Dolphins in the lineup?
Yeah, against the Houston Texans, I'm just going to leave them in and pray for the best. I think those are the 3 best players fantasy-wise. I'm not going to take a downgrade from Gesicki to Fant just because, the limited upside. I'm going to hope that this is a high-scoring game and, that all 3 of these options are viable.
Maybe if they had a really bad matchup, you would want to limit your exposure to the Dolphins, but this is a great matchup for them. So I'm not too worried about having 3 of them in your lineup. Also, Jay in here saying it's really a brag from y'all since you give me the best advice every week. Oh, stop it, Jay.
Jay,
let's go.
Jay wants to know, any interest in the KC running back Gore? That is Derek Gore. Josh, do you have interest in Derek Gore, the guy that came out of nowhere last night with touches for the Kansas City Chiefs?
You asked if I had any interest. Yeah, I have a little bit of interest in him. He was involved in the running game. And Andy Reid's comments kind of after the game kind of made me raise my eyebrows a little bit. He's like, we were really, this is not an exact quote, but he said something to the effect of, we were really excited to get both our running backs involved. And he's like, and then he was like, oh, and you guys, Gore, he's the new one, but we so it seemed like he really liked Gore. It seems like he's going to continue to be involved. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to make this a mess. So once he comes back, Gore's not going to be relevant in my mind. But, you could do worse. I'd rather start Gore over Kenneth Gainwell.
Or I was going to go all the way down to Jordan Howard, but you would start Gore over Kenneth Gainwell.
I would
not.
I would not either.
He only had 20% of the snaps yesterday. And so
Gainwell got like all of his touches in the fourth quarter. They were winning 40,
but it was a weird
4-0.
It's a weird game. I'm going to hope that that his usage gets a little bit more regular. Sirianni sees the light, but I don't blame you at all, Josh.
Yeah.
Also, Jay coming in with a good point here with the Michael Thomas and Calvin Ridley one. Maybe try to package them with another player and see if you can upgrade a position. That's going to be tough right now with their current situation.
I would laugh so hard if someone sent me a trade offer with Ridley and Michael Thomas right
You're
now.
Going to get very low value on them. Know what I mean? Like almost nothing, but I get what Jay's
But if you're going to cut them, you might as well try.
See, someone still believes.
The Colombian wants to know about any defense advice this week. Which defense should he try to pick up? So we're thinking guys that are on the waiver wire. He mentioned Pittsburgh, New England. I think Pittsburgh's a good one with their matchup against Chicago this week. Rookie quarterback. I know Justin Fields just had a great game, but if they're on the waiver wire, I think that's a great addition. Josh, any names that stick out to you?
Yeah, both Pittsburgh and New England are great pickups. I slightly prefer New England, actually.
Oh, I didn't even see they were going up against Carolina this weekend. That's another great matchup. JL, what about you?
I don't
know if Sam Darnold's going to play, by the way. We're just not 100% sure at this moment.
Yeah, I don't like either of those pickups.
You don't?
I don't like either of those this week. Trying to think who would be on the waiver.
Cowboys are going up against Denver. Miami Dolphins up against Houston.
Cowboys, I would love.
One.
Yeah, Cardinals are
they're not on the waiver wire. Probably, right?
Probably not. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's It's a good question. Maybe I'm overreacting. I guess but Steelers are probably a good pickup.
Yeah, I like their matchup. Pengs picks in. You're saying, "Hey, friends, I am just lurking." Well, welcome in. Glad to have you here. And Justin wants to know, would you do?
Wait, hold on. Scott just said Miami. Just throwing that in there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Justin said, would you do DJ Moore and Javonte and trade Gaskin, D-Hop, and T. Higgins? So you get DJ Moore and Javonte Williams for Gaskin, DeAndre Hopkins, and T. Higgins. Josh?
One more defense. The Indianapolis Colts might be available for a lot of teams. They're playing the Jets. I know Mike White just killed it. I'm not buying in. I'm not buying into Mike White.
Me neither.
Would you do DJ Moore and Javonte and trade Gaskin, D-Hop, and T. Higgins? So no, I wouldn't. No.
Me neither. Javonte and Gaskin are. I would prefer Javonte slightly, but they're close enough in the same tier for me that it's. I don't know. I prefer. Yeah, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna.
Rest of season, I would prefer Javonte. I'm just hoping that he does actually end up taking over that role as the starting running back for the Broncos. But Gaskin, he's a PPR play. He's a fine play in PPR leagues. He's going to get receptions. He's going to get around 10 carries a game.
So wait, which side of this are you on? The
D-Hop, Gaskin, and T. Higgins.
Okay,
but I'm just saying, comparing Javonte and Gaskin.
I think he has DJ Moore and Javonte and would be trading for Gaskin, D-Hop, and T. Higgins.
Yeah. I would take D-Hop, Gaskin, and T. Higgins here 100%.
T. Higgins. So I forget what the last trade you put in here was, but that third name, Mike Davis was in there. It was D-Hop and Mike Davis, I believe. The T. Higgins definitely pushes it a little bit further, and Gaskin and Javonte are close enough. If you would be starting D-Hop and T. Higgins, like if T. Higgins is a starter for you at wide receiver, then I'm definitely making.
Justin just came in and said I'd be getting D-Hop, Higgins, and Gaskin.
Yeah, so I think I would do that. I would do that as well.
I would do that.
Yep. Carlos saying this last question makes me want to cry.
Oh no!
So I want to believe that the week Emmanuel Sanders had is an outlier. Should I start him or Claypool, or is it time to trade Claypool? Josh, where are you going here?
No, for me, I'm still starting Chase Claypool. I know you might have been slightly disappointed with his week last week, but he's very involved. I trust Claypool over Sanders myself.
Yeah, I think both of these players have much better weeks ahead, but I'll trust Claypool as well over Sanders. But I don't think either of these players are ones you need to drop. Like they will be contributors rest of season. And Scott coming in here saying Gore only played 16 snaps and no receiving work. Yeah, he got 11 carries, but that was pretty much the entire time he was on the field.
He looked pretty decent with those carries, though. He did. Props to him. Him.
I missed some questions.
He could be nothing
all the way down. Oops. Joe wants to know trade Thielen and Ertz for Moss and Higgins. So Adam Thielen and Zach Ertz for Zach Moss and T. Higgins.
Okay, this is an interesting one. I like this trade. It's going to be team dependent. I know you hate hearing that. The most valuable person in this for me in a normal redraft league is Adam Thielen. You might not disagree with me, Simon. You might prefer T. Higgins. I'm definitely preferring Adam Thielen over the rest of these options. And if you need a tight end, Zach Ertz is a great option. If you need a startable running back, Zach Moss is a fine option. He's involved in the passing game and he gets the valuable goal line carries. So when I'm comparing this, I'm saying I'd rather have Thielen over Higgins the rest of the season. And just because of the running back situation, I probably prefer Moss ever so slightly over Ertz. So it's a tough trade. It's a fair trade. So it depends what you need, Joe.
Unless Moss is immediately being plugged in as a starter for you, I'm staying on the Thielen and Ertz side. I think there's a big enough gap between Thielen and Higgins right now that I would prefer to keep Thielen unless I absolutely need a running back starter and Moss is the guy for that role. But otherwise, I'm going to stay on the Thielen and Ertz side. But that is an interesting trade there, Joe. I liked going through that one. That one was a little bit tough. Also, Bam coming in with some news, said the Washington football team expects Logan Thomas to return to practice next week after their bye week. And we did talk about him a little bit in our Waiver Wire targets video this week. So go check that out to hear more about how we think about Logan Thomas. And then this was the same trade. He was just giving us his team there, Thielen, Ertz from Austin Higgins. So he's got Jalen Hurts, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, Aaron
trade,
Jones,
yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, Kamara, Waller. Nope, keep Thielen. Looking at your running backs, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara. You don't need Zach Moss. So I'm keeping Thielen here.
I 100% agree. And he did he mention it? He didn't mention his tight ends in here, but it looks like, oh, he has Waller. So I understand wanting to package Ertz with someone, maybe even Thielen, but I'd probably be aiming at an upgrade at wide receiver personally.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you, Josh. You could, who are his starting wide receivers? Kupp, Thielen. Yeah, you could probably upgrade a wide receiver if you package Thielen with Ertz. Get an upgraded wide receiver right there. Javen Great Vid says full PPR. Would you guys do Zeke, Amari, and Emmanuel, giving away Eckler and CeeDee? So I'm guessing it's Eckler and CeeDee Lamb for Zeke, Amari, and Emmanuel Sanders.
So in a PPR league, I'd rather have Eckler over Zeke. And I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb over Amari. So yeah, I'm on the Eckler and CeeDee Lamb side.
Me too. You broke it down exactly how I was going to do it, Josh. Eckler greater than Zeke, CeeDee greater than Amari, and then Emmanuel Sanders doesn't move that needle for me. So I'm sticking on the Eckler, CeeDee Lamb side as well. And Joe saying I also have Keenan Allen. You got a pretty good team there, Joe. Throwing Keenan Allen in there with the wide receivers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, your team's solid, extremely solid. Yeah.
Also,
your team's awesome.
Swamp says, I've had Michael Carter on my bench 2 weeks in a row. Is he trustworthy? This week I have no choice but to put him in. And Michael Carter's trustworthy in my eyes. I mean, as trustworthy as a running back that's not one of those top 5 guys can be, right? I've got just as much confidence starting him as I do any of those second, third tier running backs. He's getting the work for that offense, and he's getting the receiving work, which is huge in a PPR format. Plug him in.
Yeah.
With confidence.
His first 5 weeks, 2 targets, 3 targets, 3 targets, 3 targets, 3 targets. Hey, that's nice for a running back. You want to see, 3 targets a game is great to see. They had a bye week, and then there's been 2 weeks since then. 9 targets, 14 targets. He's also getting more carries. Michael Carter, it's not a great offense, but yeah, he's a start.
Yeah.
He's a start.
Also, Swamp with the Hoodat. Congrats on the big win, by the way, Swamp. You should be screaming Hoodat at the top of your lungs over that win over the Bucks. I'm sure that was exciting for you. The Colombian has a question. Start 3, Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Chase Claypool. You got them just about in order for me. With the last couple, mix them up, but I'm starting the first 3. Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins. Josh, what about you?
Yeah, 100%. Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams. Then it gets a little tricky.
It does get a little trickier.
It gets tricky for me, and I actually have Chase Claypool ranked ahead of T. Higgins this week.
I don't
by one
blame
spot.
you. I don't.
They're
blame
my
you.
number 20 and 21 wide receivers.
So we are agreeing on Deontay Johnson and Devontae Adams. I would start T. Higgins. Josh would start Chase Claypool. In my eyes, this is a volume versus upside debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like T. Higgins is probably safer with the volume that he's been getting. Chase Claypool has way more upside in my eyes with how they use him on the Steelers offense. Do you disagree with that?
No. T. Higgins has a lot of upside.
He does
Chase
have upside
Claypool
as
has
well.
seen volume in the past, but you're right. You're right.
The Colombian also says, my current running back situation is Damien Harris, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, Darrell Williams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Should he try and trade for a running back? Yeah, I mean, you definitely could use an upgrade at that position. Damien Harris is a fine start every week. I'm a little nervous with Antonio Gibson. When Clyde comes back, you're going to be fine, but adding that extra piece of depth is never a bad idea.
A little nervous with Antonio Gibson, Simon? A little bit?
I'm very nervous with Antonio Gibson. That's why Jarrett Patterson was a waiver wire ad for me this week. I'm very nervous with Antonio Gibson.
That's kind of the point I was trying to make. I am also very nervous for Antonio Gibson. If you can capitalize on his value he had coming into the season and you can package him with something to get an upgrade at running back, I want to do that as soon as possible before this gets worse.
Yeah. Javen says, trading for an elite wide receiver or running back, who am I looking to get for Mark Andrews? Ooh. So similar valued running backs or wide receivers for Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is currently the tight end 2 in PPR formats, if I'm not mistaken. And that's with playing one less game than some of the other names. He's ahead of guys like TJ Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, who have all played more games than him. Then Dalton Schultz, Kyle Pitts with the same amount. The only tight end averaging more points per game currently is Travis Kelce, and that is by only 0.1 points. Mark Andrews has turned it on after a little bit of a slow start to this season, but from tight end to running back or wide receiver, there tends to have to be a little bit of a downgrade. You're not going to get the number 2 running back or the number 2 wide receiver for that player. So Josh, how far are you going down that running back list or wide receiver list?
It's a good question. I will say that I would want to know what other tight end you have here. I know you said you're looking for an elite wide receiver or running back, and Simon summed it up pretty well. I don't know if you're going to get quite an elite one. But, there's some elite running backs coming off an injury. Saquon Barkley, for instance. If you could get Saquon Barkley, maybe the owner's nervous about Saquon Barkley. He's not the same player. I would be willing to do something like that.
Would you do
Moore has some down weeks?
Who?
DJ Moore. He's had some down weeks, and maybe you can maneuver that. That's the high end, though, I think you're going to be getting from Mark Andrews.
Would you do Mark Andrews for Cordero Patterson?
Nah, yeah.
That's the name that jumped out to me. I think you could get that trade done. And if you're not going to sacrifice too much at tight end, so you've got another elite tight end, you could go do that. You could get Cordero Patterson, who I think is going to contribute for the rest of the season. You're not going to get Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor with a tight end, but you might be able to get a Cordero Patterson who's producing similarly to some of those guys. Just doesn't have the name there, or some of the safety.
And in a lot of leagues can play both wide receiver and running back,
which is
an added benefit.
Double whammy. Okay. And Bam with some more news says after not coming to an agreement with the Rams for a trade, DeSean Jackson has parted ways, presumably becoming a free agent. Is that true?
That's news to me, but it makes a lot of sense. They both, like Bam said, they agreed to seek a trade, and the trade didn't go through. So, DeSean Jackson's not fantasy relevant, regardless of where he goes.
No, I mean, he might have 1 week. I feel like that's the DeSean Jackson special. He'll just have 1 week, and then
let me correct myself. You don't actually want to pick him up, regardless of where he goes.
Carlos wants to know, should I drop Booker for McNichols? I doubt we get news about Barkley until tomorrow, but I'd assume he's back this week. Josh, would you drop DeVante Booker for McNichols?
It's a little risky. Because Booker's been playing pretty well without Saquon Barkley playing. But once Saquon Barkley's back in there and healthy, Booker, he's going to be nothing. He's nothingness in this relatively poor Giants offense. Saquon's going to get all these carries and receptions. So yes, I would.
Oh, the risk level on that one, though. If you are relying on DeVante Booker for a start, I'm not sure I could drop him until I know Saquon's coming back.
You could take a shot.
You know what? That's a great point, Josh. You could just plug McNichols in, and you likely have longer value from him. You know what, man? If that's the only player you can drop, then I guess But
I know.
That one, that is so risky. That is a risky move. You're just crossing your fingers, hoping for Saquon to be back after you make that one.
Yeah, you are. Tough, you are, but I would do it. Carlos.
And then just sit there, and then you're either going to go yes, or you're going to go fuck. Just one of two options are going to be your reaction there.
Hey, I'm just telling you guys what I would do with my fantasy teams. Okay, all right.
Justin says I get D-Hop, Gaskin, and Bateman, and give up Schultz, DJ Moore, and Javonte. So Josh, would you do that? DeAndre Hopkins, Myles Gaskin, and Rashad Bateman for Dalton Schultz, DJ Moore, and Javonte Williams.
And I believe Justin said he had Waller as part of this team.
Pitts is his tight end one.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, that's
same analysis, right? He's got an elite.
Yeah. I would make that move.
You would give up Schultz, DJ Moore, and Javonte to get D-Hop, Gaskin, and Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess DJ Moore, D-Hop, similar tier. Javonte, Gaskin, similar tier. And then with you already having Pitts, I would prefer Bateman over Schultz on my team rest of season. I think I would make that as well. But that's a very close trade. And if you didn't have Pitts, I'd be on the other side. If Schultz was your starting tight end, that's how close this one is for me. Jay says the person in my league with Henderson has no backup running backs with James Robinson as his RB2. Do you think Lockett and Patterson would be enticing enough to get Henderson?
So it's Cordero Patterson, I'm assuming.
Cordero Patterson. He's trying to package Tyler Lockett and Cordero Patterson for Darrell Henderson.
I could absolutely see that being enticing enough. Lockett's coming off this huge game. And then there's even the upside of when Russell Wilson comes back. And, so there's upside with and Patterson's been playing outstanding. So yeah, I wouldn't say that's an unfair trade at all.
I would send it. Yeah, I would send it. See if you can get it done. I'm not saying they're going to accept it, but that's fair enough that, they might. The Colombian says trade away Antonio Gibson plus Chase Claypool, acquire Leonard Fournette or any other decent running back. Josh, would you trade Antonio Gibson plus Chase Claypool for Leonard Fournette? Also, I just want to hit this. Not. Carlos said YOLO about dropping.
Yes. Yes. I would not do this trade, and I'm going to tell you why. I would not do it if we were starting Chase Claypool on my team. If Chase Claypool's not a start, I going forward, it's crazy to say, but yeah, I prefer Leonard Fournette than Antonio Gibson. I don't know if you differ, Simon, but I feel like the value on the Gibson Claypool side is a little bit much just to get Fournette. I would be aiming a little bit higher than Fournette.
Would you do Gibson for Leonard Fournette?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Josh. I don't hate this trade. I think it's an okay move to make, but I do think you're giving up a little bit much adding Claypool onto the Gibson side for Fournette. I forget who your other wide receivers were. You told us earlier.
I'm also higher on Claypool than most.
So what about Jerry Jeudy plus Antonio Gibson for Leonard Fournette?
You're getting an upgrade at running back, and if that's what you're truly looking for, then go for it.
And you've got good enough receivers. I think you can handle losing one of them, but man, that's a little bit too much value for Fournette. Like it's not a value trade, but you don't always have to make value trades. You know what I mean? Sometimes trades aren't value trades and they still make sense for your team to get that upgrade at a position. So I don't hate it, but it is a little rich. I would see if you can do it for less. Yeah. Justin has another version of the trade. So before it was Dhop, Gaskin, and Bateman, give up Schultz, DJ Moore, and Javonte. Here he says, get Dhop, Mike Davis, and Meyers for Schultz, DJ Moore, and Javonte. So Josh, would you prefer Dhop, Mike Davis, and Jacobi Meyers, or Dhop, Gaskin, and Bateman?
I prefer Gaskin and Bateman. Just because I prefer Gaskin over Mike Davis, and Meyers and Bateman are pretty close. I do prefer Meyers, but it's closer with Meyers and Bateman.
I prefer Meyers over Bateman, but I'm still going with the Dhop, Gaskin, Bateman side on this one. Yeah. Unruly Drip says, who do I drop, Tony or Jarvis? I'm dropping Jarvis out of these two, if those are my two options. Josh, where are you going here?
Yeah, if I had to drop one, it'd be Jarvis.
And it's not... I think there's a real chance Jarvis outscores Tony rest of season, but the reason I'm dropping Jarvis is I feel like we know what we're going to get from him rest of season, and that's fine. It's going to be absolutely fine production from him. Tony could emerge as the top receiving option in this offense and be a player that you start every single week with confidence. Again,
Tony's already
not calling for that. It's just the range of outcomes are so much higher. There's so much more upside with Kadarius Toney.
Tony, as a rookie, has already shown you so much more upside than Jarvis Landry. I'm not going to say has ever shown you, but Tony's the real deal. He's an athletic freak, and Jarvis Landry is a PPR play. He needs receptions in order to be extremely successful.
Agreed. The Colombian wants to confirm, then trade away Gibson and acquire Fournette. I would do it. I'm very, very concerned about Gibson's shin fracture. It is actively affecting the amount of snaps he gets week in, week out. Less than 40% snaps in 2 of the last 3 weeks. That's not what you want from your starting running back. And Josh, I believe you're the one who said it on the show yesterday. It's the kind of, or maybe it was JL, it's the kind of injury that just needs rest to get better. So it's not like all of a sudden with him playing, he's going to suddenly have less stress on that fracture in his shin. It's going to stay difficult for him the remainder of the season unless they sit him for an extended period of time. Josh, this one's coming to you again. Could you guys go over an argument for why we think McNichols takes the main running back spot over Adrian Peterson?
The
and I
argument,
don't even think that's necessarily the argument you're making.
Exactly.
That he has the main running back spot, just that from a fantasy perspective, there's more value with McNichols.
That's exactly it, Simon. Hey, what's up? The argument isn't necessarily that McNichols is 100% going to take over the role. There's no guarantee there. All right. But when I'm looking at the situation, McNichols has been with the team for the entire season, and he's been a good pass catching back for the Titans so far. Derrick Henry's been taking all the carries, but behind Derrick Henry, McNichols has gotten the second most carries. It's only been 7 over the course of the season. It's nothing so far, but he's been good on those 7 carries, and he's getting solid receptions and reception yards and targets. So McNichols is going to be on the field more. He's going to be getting even more receptions and targets. And now he's going to be getting more carries, regardless of what Adrian Peterson does. Now, Adrian Peterson could absolutely come in and get even more carries than McNichols. That's absolutely a possibility. But Adrian Peterson has never been a receiving back. He's not going to get catches. He doesn't offer that fantasy upside. So the most realistic outcome here is that Adrian Peterson's the leading the carry leader for the Titans the rest of the season. He's getting 12, 15 carries a game. McNichols is slightly involved. He's getting 5 carries a game, and he's involved in the passing game. That makes McNichols more valuable than Adrian Peterson. Let's just say, though, Adrian Peterson is spent. They trust McNichols more. McNichols does get the majority of these carries. If McNichols is getting 10 carries plus this reception work in the passing game, he is a top 20 running back with top 10 running back upside. So the upside is there. And if everything goes right, McNichols could be a league winner for you. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. I digress.
Josh, I'm right there with you. In my eyes, worst case scenario for Jeremy McNichols is what we've seen from Kenneth Gainwell while Miles Sanders was in that offense, the receiving down work, which is worth rostering in fantasy leagues alone. Like, that is the worst case scenario. He's the 15th most targeted running back on this season already with 27 targets. And Derrick Henry had another 20 targets this season. So it's not like he was the only back getting targets. I expect that to go up. And then that's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, like you laid out, he gets some of that rushing work too. That doesn't just all go to AP. I'm way more interested in McNichols. If AP finds success, he's not nearly going to be as fantasy relevant as if Jeremy McNichols finds that same success.
And Carlos came in, I'm sorry, just because we're on the topic. He said, I'm sold on McNichols. However, I'm just going to pick up both of them. So the Henry owner is in shambles.
Defense.
And I don't hate that. Listen, there is a world where Peterson is the more valuable fantasy back. There's a world. He's not a pass catcher.
If Peterson is the more valuable fantasy back, then I don't have interest in either of them.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Like,
it would be on the back of touchdowns, they're not very predictable. Peterson's going to be inconsistent regardless.
Yep. The Colombian said available running back waiver wire in my league. Boston Scott, Jeremy McNichols. So we answered this question a little bit for you with that one. Ty Johnson, Salvin Ahmed, AJ Dillon, Latavius Murray, Nyheim Hines, Adrian Peterson. So Jeremy McNichols, absolutely. You want to pick up. Josh, any other names on here that stand out to you that you would pick up?
Like you just said, McNichols would be my number one waiver priority this week. If we're talking after McNichols, it depends what you need. Are you looking for a running back to start this week? If that's the case, Boston Scott and Latavius Murray kind of stand out to me. I don't really trust the Eagles running back situation. Latavius Murray's going to get 10 carries for the Ravens, and he's a touchdown threat every week. I don't trust Adrian Peterson week 1. Just being signed with this team. Nyheim Hines is a good pass catcher, but we can never predict when he's going to actually be involved with this offense. But if we're not worried about this week, it might be AJ Dillon. If something were to happen to Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon is a league winner.
And you know what? In a pinch, he's startable even with Aaron Jones in. They are using him. So that's what I was going to say, Josh, as well. Jeremy McNichols is my top pickup here. But then my second pickup is actually AJ Dillon. In a pinch, you can plug him in your lineup with Aaron Jones already there. He's getting the work some weeks more than others, but they are using him in this offense. Then if Aaron Jones goes down, AJ Dillon is going to be the top waiver wire ad for every single league where he's not already rostered. That's the kind of guy I want on my bench going down the stretch.
You made me change my mind. AJ Dillon. Yeah, AJ Dillon will be my second waiver wire pickup regardless.
Yep, more so than Boston Scott for me. Oh, Josh got so excited about AJ Dillon that we lost him there for a second. Frozen Josh, when will he come back? While Josh is gone, guys, we're going to go ahead and start getting wrapped up here. Thank you for bringing all of your questions into Fantasy Football Office Hours. A reminder, if you have not done so already, hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel at Front Yard Fantasy. We are live every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Fantasy Football Game Show, playing some games around all of our favorite game. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are live at 4:15 Eastern time, right after our game show, doing nothing but answering your questions at Fantasy Football Office Hours. And on top of that, if you're not sick of us after those 7 streams, on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we are live on the FanDuel YouTube and Twitch channels playing some more games. And then Sundays at 7 p.m., you can catch us the same place, FanDuel's YouTube and Twitch, for the Sunday night recap. And that is always a lot of fun, going through that day's games and the Sunday night preview. That's going to be it for us today, though, Josh. Good work. There were some good questions for everyone. That was a lot of fun, and we will be back tomorrow. Until then, adios, everybody.
Love you guys. Let's go.